Hey guys, welcome to the Rough Stuff podcast. This is episode 13, and today we're going to discuss all things R&D. I'm Garett, RuffStuff CEO. I've got Zack, RuffStuff President, with me.
Hello.
And our guests today are the RuffStuff R&D Research and Development team. We've got Wyatt.
Hello.
And Caleb.
What up?
And over video, we got Danny.
Hey guys.
What's up, man? So today we want to discuss like RuffStuff R&D, the processes, product design, and also answer some questions. So the first things first, Wyatt, Caleb, Danny, introduce your guys' selves and your titles and what your job duties are.
I'm Wyatt. I'm the lead R&D guy here at RuffStuff. I've been with RuffStuff for about 6 years now, and yeah, I'm just in charge of all the new products we have coming in and a little bit of the design work.
How's it going? I'm Caleb. I've been with RuffStuff for about 2 years now. I'm just Wyatt's right-hand man in day-to-day research and development stuff.
And I'm Danny. I'm the R&D CAD designer. Basically take care of most of the CAD stuff and new product development along with everybody else.
Or not? How long did you say? How long you've been here?
I've been here, about a little over 2 years.
Sweet. How did like all you guys get started in R&D and like designing parts?
So before that, let's go even like before RuffStuff, like just in your own guys' private life, wheeling, having fun, building junk, stuff like that. Why don't you start this off, Caleb? You're pretty crafty.
Well, when I was like 15, I built a Toyota, straight axled it, and then just kind of took off from there. Really liked the whole off-road community. Got a job here at RuffStuff as a welder, and then I just kept going from there.
Oh, yeah.
I also, like Caleb, I got a Jeep though when I was 15 or 16, and I was always into welding and fabricating, and I think that led into making parts for the Jeep, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. I got it into four-wheeling and off-roading, and then I eventually got a job at RuffStuff, and I started out machining, and then moved into welding, and then eventually got into a little bit of the design and prototype stuff, and then just got more involved with R&D as I went. So,
Yeah, you've definitely been involved in a lot of different sides of the fab shop and whatnot.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. How about you, Danny? Tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're not a conventional four-wheel drive guy.
No, I've had a few Toyotas in my life. Actually, I was doing the math the other day. I've had 10 different Toyotas in my life. A bunch of two-wheel drives. I did have a couple four-wheel drives. We didn't do much rock crawling and stuff like that. It was just riding dirt trails and stuff like that. So never really had to do anything, not much modification to anything, just kind of rode them the way they were. And then been doing design work for like 12, 15 years and started working here at RuffStuff and been having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So, you think four-wheel drive company, CAD design, you got to be doing a very select, skill set. But Danny actually comes from the world of moto, and you worked with a lot of different machining applications, things like that as well, right, Danny?
Yeah. I've been around, like my stepdad was a machinist for his entire life, and he's like second generation machinist. And so I've always kind of been around machine shops and stuff like that, and worked at a few different ones and worked my way up into R&D at one of the machine shops I was at, and then started doing design work for them and did some design work for a company called Promoto Billet, doing motorcycle parts, and then came here, started doing this stuff. And it's been a different challenge because, I don't have a whole lot of experience with straight up off-road vehicles, but, the information I get from Wyatt and these guys, they give me everything I need to figure that stuff out. So
when you're coming up through those companies and learning how to draw, were you going to school to learn that, or were you just like learning on the job? Or
so the easiest way is kind of tell a story is, like I said, my stepdad was a machinist, and I got into BMX racing when I was like 15 and been racing for about a year, and I was going to go to a national, and he didn't really work on my bikes much, but he's like, I need to look at your bike and make sure it's in good shape before you go. And so he took it to the shop and found a few problems with it, and actually ended up like welding and making new parts for it. And like that, at that point, like I want to be a machinist too. Like, I want to make parts. And he's like, well, before you learn how to make parts, you got to learn how to draw them. And so I kind of went down that path, started doing drafting classes and stuff like that in high school, and then a little bit into college. And then at the machine shops, I started doing a little bit of design work there too. So it's kind of how I got into this mess.
That's cool, man. That's a cool story. I didn't actually know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Would you now, like looking back on that, actually, if you had to give someone advice, is that the way, like you'd recommend someone to do that same way, or would you say maybe mix some school in there, or?
I would definitely say school's important. I feel like I did it the hard way. There's a lot of stuff I think I could have gotten into design work a lot faster had I gone to school for engineering or something like that. I kind of looked into the drafting thing and thought that was what I was going to do. And kind of looking back, yeah, I definitely should have looked into engineering instead, because drafting kind of goes into a, architectural and civil direction. And I didn't want to sit at a desk just doing architectural drawings. I wanted to be more hands-on doing mechanical stuff. So, engineering would have been a better path, but I feel like along the way I've learned a lot, and I feel like a lot of the stuff that I've learned doing it the hard way has made it to where when I design stuff, I understand how the manufacturing process works, and so I can design stuff around that and make sure that it's, not only does it look cool and it works, but you can actually make it and assemble it and all that stuff. So
yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Like if I were to like start over again, I feel like I kind of like I draw the same way I would like make it by hand. Or I think about how it's manufactured first, and that if you just had someone that went to school that doesn't understand the manufacturing processes, they'll skip some steps, or the part could cost a lot more because there's like all these extra like handle or different ops you have to run, right? Like on a lathe or something if you designed it super weird.
Yeah.
So anyways.
One thing I think we kind of passed over is your experience on this stuff, Garett, because you drew a lot of stuff back in the day. And yours was all pretty much the hard way, huh?
Yeah, and I actually wish I would have done some schooling just for the print side of things. For drawing, it's pretty straightforward, But like learning how to communicate that information to the machine shop or something is a skill I don't really have. And tolerances, sorting all that stuff out. So that's where I think my skill set kind of stops. Is just I can draw, I can understand the basics of it and communicate like verbally. But yeah, if I had to send the print to so and so machine shop or whatever plate shop, we would have issues, and we have had issues in the past. That's probably why. So.
Yeah, and you kind of started doing CAD work just out of necessity, right? Because we didn't really have an official designer back then. We just needed somebody to figure it out to start making stuff that we needed to build.
We had problems, and I was trying to fix them. So we had Dan started out using this program called eMachine Shop, and it's free, and it's actually still out there. I downloaded it like 6 months ago just to see if it was still usable. And it's like super basic, but actually it's decent for just doing two-dimensional stuff. And but it just doesn't have like measuring tools. You have to use lines and sketch your lines at like whatever length you want to like measure or like set your parameters to or whatever. And so we just had a bunch of issues with like the parts just being drawn weird or not consistent. And so, again, it's like one of those things where you just pick up the slack, right? You find a hole, try and fix it, and then it became out of necessity. So
Gosh.
kind of different. But what about you guys? You guys both draw, use SolidWorks, and now we're going the Fusion. So
Yeah, I started in high school doing the drafting thing like Danny, and it was a lot of AutoCAD and architectural stuff, and I wasn't interested in that, so I think I kind of phased out of it towards the end of high school, and I started doing more welding stuff. But then in college, they offered SolidWorks, and I started taking those classes, and that was a lot more mechanical, and I think that's where my interest picked back up in designing and the manufacturing side. So yeah, and with Fusion now, Fusion is a lot more integrated in the CAM software we use for machining and programming. So that's pretty exciting, seeing the part go from the design process directly into the machine process, just in one program. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching you guys do that. Looks pretty nice.
It's pretty impressive. It's pretty amazing. Some simple basic instructions can make a lot of stuff happen, man.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool that one program can do all that stuff too.
Yeah.
Usually that's a bunch of add-ons or multiple programs and all that stuff. So it's kind of nice to just be able to all do it in one spot.
Definitely.
What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, honestly, I had no drawing or manufacturing experience before I got into R&D. I knew how to weld. I knew how to build rock crawlers, and like I knew what looked good and what didn't. But it was just trying to get all of those pieces put together in order to get a good part made. But yeah, Wyatt's helped me out a bunch, and Danny as well. So it's been cool. I really like the Fusion stuff. It's way more intuitive than SolidWorks, so it makes my day-to-day job a little easier.
How's that transition been going? Because I know, like, I think everyone has trouble like moving from one program to another. Is it getting easier, or still the same learning curve?
I think it's pretty easy. I mean, if you know SolidWorks a fair bit, it makes the transition a little easier. There's some quirks to Fusion that's different, but I don't think there's any major hiccups that I've found. I don't know about you, Danny. You have more experience in SolidWorks than I do.
Mostly just been little things like for the most part, drawing and stuff like that is basically the same. You do a 2-dimensional drawing, extrude it or whatever. But it's just, it's been little things that I've been noticing that are kind of weird. Like some of the mates instead of the constraints are just a little different. And I don't know, there's just little things. And I'm sure we'll find more as we go. But at the same time, like I'll find like 2 things that are that I don't like about it. But then I find 3 more things that I really like about it. So it seems to be working pretty well.
Does Fusion have any like bend up software in there too? Or is that specific to the machine? Like as far as like programming like a press brake or something.
I haven't seen any of that.
No.
I haven't looked into it at all though, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have a brake option. I know they have any sort of machining you want, and they have like laser and water jet cam systems, but I don't know about a brake.
They even have 3D printing in there too.
Yeah.
And that's all included like just in that basic like that one tier plan they have, right? It's just
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you even get some software to build like computer boards if you wanted to.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, like the electrical. So it's like SolidWorks, like the whatever the best one is, like the premium or professional or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it, man. That's cool. I didn't even know I could do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. I've been looking a little bit into the whole animation side of it stuff too. Like Mallory was wanting that animation of the rock sliders, and I've been looking into that. And there's actually a lot of options on that too. Like just kind of showing how stuff goes together, assembly drawings and stuff, or actually assembly animations and stuff like that, which would be kind of cool to play around with.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. Zach?
Oh, my R&D background, history and CAD design, virtually nothing. But doing things the hard way has been the theme of my life. So I mean, I could get into it right now, and I don't know.
You haven't done any drawing on SolidWorks, or?
I mean, nothing of value. I should say I have done stuff, but it was nothing great. You showed me some stuff way back in the day, but it was so rudimentary, and I would need some time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember when we were going out at Hammers last year, you were right behind me, Caleb, in the truck, and I totally thought you were passed out for like 6 hours. Your head was just down. I was like, that's all right. He's going to earn his time back next week. It's going to be a hard, long, cold week. And I just start hearing kind of, oh, cool. Oh, and I like kind of tilt my head up. I realized you've just been watching YouTube videos for like 6 hours on Fusion stuff, just learning every little detail you could out. That was pretty cool. Yeah. That'd be my route to learn it. I would have to sit down and just drill through it. But, it's definitely not my craft. Definitely not something I have a natural knack for, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that transition for me was a little bit easier than Wyatt and Danny, just because I didn't have any SolidWorks, or I didn't have much SolidWorks experience before that. When I got that opportunity, just had a bunch of time, nothing to do, I figured I may as well make it useful and try to learn how to use Fusion a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
Making it count. All right, so the next user submitted question was, what is some of your favorite equipment to use while designing or around the shop? We kind of went over the CAD a little bit, but you want to chime in on that, Danny, from your side?
We already talked about the CAD and some of that stuff, but as far as like getting measurements and figuring out, where things need to go, like, obviously some of the simple stuff we use is like micrometers and tape measures and stuff like that, but we also do get some information from SEMA, some CAD stuff for being able to use to reverse engineer some stuff from them.
Yes.
Yeah, even like cardboard cutouts and stuff like that have been really helpful.
Yeah.
So then we fold up some cardboard and take some measurements off of that, and it works really well.
The original CAD design.
Do you have like certain brand tools that you prefer over others, or are you just like whatever as far as like micrometers go and stuff? Yeah,
my calipers, I've always got Mitutoyo. Those are my favorites, but outside of that, I don't have much preference. Whatever works.
Oh, yeah. How about you guys? I mean, you guys are a lot more in the fab shop, building stuff, testing stuff, seeing what works, what doesn't?
In size for me, that's what I like. It's also the only calipers I've ever had. So, yeah, honestly, whatever works. I mean, as long as they're calibrated and they're accurate.
Not the plastic Harbor Freight ones.
Yeah, no. Or the ones
Yeah,
that have been
I'm
dropped on the
surprised at how
ground a couple
accurate some of those are,
times.
though.
What was that,
Sorry.
Danny?
So I've actually been surprised at how accurate some of those Harbor Freight ones are.
Yeah.
They're not terrible, but yeah, if you want to use them all the time, you want something better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Wyatt? I mean, you do a lot of hands-on stuff. What kind of gear do you end up using day to day?
As far as like hand tools go, I have like Mitutoyo calipers and measuring tools for that. But as far as equipment goes, most of our stuff in the shop is we have all Lincoln welders in the shop, and to me, I think the Lincoln MIG welders are I really like those more than the blue brand. That's my preference on those. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I don't really have much preference as far as tool goes. Any quality tool will get the job done, I think.
Pretty much what works will work. huh?
Yeah, I don't have a loyalty to one brand over the other.
Really. It is nice to have quality gear, stuff like Lincoln, Mitutoyo, stuff
Yeah.
like that is nice to make the difference on doing it right
Right.
within the first 10 tries versus the first 20, 30 tries,
Right.
Is there any other tools that you guys are kind of like can't live without,
And you guys have been machining a lot of stuff
or
lately.
wish we had?
I mean, shit, you guys have been building jigs lately a lot. I mean, for the past couple of years.
Yeah, we do a lot of jigs. A lot of our jigs are just custom jigs that we make in-house just because of necessity. If we're making 100 parts that are all the same, they need to be welded. We'll have a fixture that holds each individual component in place, and that's all just custom in-house stuff that we do.
Yeah. And pretty much all that work falls to you guys, right? As far as building jigs, stuff of that variety.
Caleb or I take care of all that stuff. Yeah, try to make it easy for the welders and the production crew to make the most amount of parts in their shift. So
Yeah.
I feel like a lathe and if you just have a garage shop and you have your welder, your grinder, your just basic tools, but once you get a lathe, I feel like that like really steps up like what you can make.
Oh
yeah.
Like I don't know, they're just so
versatile in what you can do,
I was gonna say a mill first, but then I thought of it like lathe is like you guys spin stuff, I mean, there's so many round things you can make.
Yeah.
So
I've always been a big fan of a mill. I learned a lot of stuff at some of my other jobs on just a regular like Bridgeport mill or jet mill, just cutting metal all the time. You can do all kinds of stuff with that. It's like a big etch-a-sketch or a big drill press. I don't know, do all kinds of stuff. But a lathe definitely right there in line with them. Like those two tools are probably the most versatile things you could have.
don't you have you have like your own CNC mill, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I've got my own little Bridgeport mill, just a manual, and I've also got a little Tormach CNC. I've got a little 3D printer back here that I do some stuff on, and I do have a little lathe, but I don't have it set up right now.
That's awesome, man. And yeah, so what's kind of interesting, why our man Danny is on a video chat is Danny lives in Idaho, and we are located in beautiful California. So yeah, Danny was out here with us for about a year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then ended up moving back to Idaho with the fam, and was able to keep on rocking with us and hasn't dropped the pace yet. So pretty nice to have a solid hardcore dude that's a big, integral part of the company, still be able to remote in, still be able to work as if, side by side with us every day.
I was definitely nervous about it at first. I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, like if I was going to be able to communicate well and, if I was going to be able to do my job without the hands-on side of it. But honestly, with Wyatt and Caleb, like being able to check parts and everything like that, and communication has been great. Like we've been able to rock and make a lot of stuff work out really well, and edits and stuff like that have gone really smooth. So it's been working pretty good.
Yeah, we were pretty nervous about it too, because I think kind of the same thing. We just have never done it. We weren't sure how it was going to work. And I think we told you this, but I'm not sure. But we went around and just asked everyone that works with you, say, hey, can this work? So you better thank them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was like, everyone was just like real quick. Yep, totally. We need to keep them on. And was just stoked to keep working with you. So.
I was nervous, man, because I guess I'm Danny's direct supervisor, and Danny's one of the boys, and I love my boys. Our guys are awesome, and it was like, oh man, Danny's moving away, heartbroken. And then it was like, and then you're like, hey, what if I work from home? What if there's an opportunity to make this work remotely? And I'm pretty skeptical generally, so I was just like, I don't know, man, it's a big card to fill. But yeah, Danny just absolutely blew my expectations out of the water, even more than what I was initially anticipating, which is awesome because, it's an integral part of this whole company. And it's, it has to work. It cannot fail. That's the biggest issue.
And then COVID hit, and he was like, whatever. Yeah, I'm already home.
Well, yeah, I feel like in some ways, I feel like with me doing the whole working from home thing kind of set us up when that happened, that we were kind of already somewhat prepared for how to work from home if we had to.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, we had a little bit of infrastructure tested out, and
yeah, how the model worked with you is how we kind of paved the way for the few of the guys who were able to have work off site during those couple months when it was, the hard lockdown, and we're encouraged to send people home if possible, so that kind of made that work out all right.
Yeah.
For sure. So next question are, what are some shops or brands that really inspire you?
Well, for me, I guess I already talked about Lincoln Welders. We also use a lot of Haas machines. Now we have a few Haas machines, a couple lathes, and we just got a Haas mill. And so far we've had nothing but good luck with those machines. Those first lathe we got was 4 years ago now, probably.
2016, it's 2020, yeah.
Gosh, that's been that
4
long?
years.
That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, and it's been running 8 hours, 10 hours a day for, every day. Haven't had any issues with that one. We also got a smaller lathe to help keep up with the demand that we have, and that one's been going good for a year, 2 years now, I think.
What's funny about that though is so the first one was an ST20.
Yes.
So we got an ST15.
Right.
But it's only smaller. What is that? The Z axis?
The travels, the Z and the X, are smaller travels.
So the travel is less, but the bore size is bigger, right?
Right. Yeah. So you can spin larger diameter material.
And the tool holder is the same amount of tools, right?
Same number of tools, smaller tool shank. So in theory, you wouldn't be able to take as heavy of a cut, but in our experience, it hasn't really affected anything.
You can take some heavy cuts.
Yeah, you can.
That thing can jam.
Yeah, you can remove some material for sure.
Yeah, it's an impressive machine, man.
Yeah, the 15, and then it has just some added features to it and stuff. But
yeah, the larger bore is awesome because we spin all of our Delrin products on that, and some of those diameters are pretty big, 2.5 diameters. So that brings that in house. Before, that wouldn't have worked in our 20 because that only has a 2-inch bore capacity. So a lot of our bigger parts we make on our 15, which is a smaller machine, but our smaller parts.
Man,
we
it
make
kicks
on the 20.
ass though.
Yeah.
So are there any off-road or automotive brands that you've always been a fan of or inspired you?
I'm a Jeep guy.
Yeah.
Jeep.
No, I've only had Jeeps. That's all I really know. I don't really have any preference. I mean, there's cool Toyotas out there for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a Jeep Wrangler, 2006 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, and Jeep Cherokee. So
You have the ZJ, right?
I did, yeah. I sold that though. That was my first experience. So some of the fab work on that wasn't the best. I was a kid. I was still learning, but yeah, I had a Grand Cherokee.
And your Wrangler though is the what's that model? It's the
LJ.
The LJ.
LJ. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He said I think you just said
Unlimited.
unlimited. So I
Yeah.
wanted to just speak up about that because I think they have in the LG or whatever.
Yeah.
Is cool.
It's cool, man. I love that long wheelbase. Things are rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that link system you built on that thing was pretty cool too. Nice
Yeah,
low.
it works pretty
flat
good.
links.
Yeah, they're all just our brackets. The front 3-link, just with our brackets, and the rear 4-link is our combo 4-link bracket. So I just throw them on the frame and dial your geometry in, and you're good to go.
Oh yeah. What about you, Caleb? What's some stuff that you like?
Honestly, the whole social media group as a whole, there's some killer shit on there, and it really drives me to want to make cool parts like that. So
What's some Instagram pages that you like?
I
I know
can't
there's
think-
ones you like.
I really can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, I would say
Hashtag.
I don't know, like Wyatt said, Haas has really been important to us and our design process and getting parts out. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any one brand, but social media is definitely really cool.
How's the
That's cool shit
support
out
with Haas?
Good.
Phenomenal.
Really good.
Yeah, they're a stand-up company, man. And now you went out to the Lincoln training as well. Did you go one year, Wyatt?
I did, yeah, out to Cleveland, Ohio to visit the Lincoln factory.
Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, that's something that's pretty unique. And you guys were both both took Advanced Motorsports there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell them a little bit about that, because I know it's an impressive campus, everything about it is pretty much as goddamn American as they can get.
Yeah, for sure. They have a really good, I don't know if it's an outreach program or whatever it is, but all their companies that use a lot of their products are involved in motorsports, so like racing, drag racing, NASCAR, Ultra 4, which is kind of how we got the foot in the door.
IndyCar and stuff too, right?
Yeah, IndyCar.
Or Formula or whatever.
Yeah. They have it's called an Advanced Motorsports program, and they invite all those companies to come out and tour the factory, and they give a really good lecture and a seminar one day, and the next day is all hands-on with their equipment, and they have the latest and greatest machines that they have out there. So you get to kind of see what's coming up in the next few years, and they got a really good staff of people there that really know exactly what goes on with the machines and the welding process. So there's a big knowledge base
Far
there.
beyond just like a salesman trying to get you to buy the machine.
Yeah.
Now the campus is pretty spectacular too. I know it's pretty massive.
They have a huge facility, and I think after I went there, they built a whole nother facility just for classes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, when I went, they had just finished their new facility a couple months prior. I think it was something like a $2 million new facility. It had over 100 different welding booths in it.
Wow.
All with their own machines, own ventilator systems, grinders. I mean, everything you need to weld was in that booth. Yeah, it was a crazy program. I'm really thankful for that experience. They talked a lot about metallurgy. Mine was a little different than Wyatt's. We did like an hour or two of lecture, and then we went out to the lab and did some welding and came back to do some more lecture. And then, yeah, we just kept going back and forth. Yeah, I liked it. It was awesome. Learned how to weld different types of metal, Inconel, titanium, magnesium.
And they give you
more exotic stuff, huh?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And they give you guys like the literature and stuff too.
Yeah, they send us home with probably 4 or 5 inch thick stack of books that you could find any information for welding or metallurgy that you need in there.
That is awesome. And now you went to that as well, Garett, didn't you?
Yeah, I forget what year, but it's been a while.
Yeah. So this is, it's like an invite-only thing that a guy named Mickey, who's the head of their motorsports marketing back in the day, right? Wasn't it what he was doing, motorsports?
Yeah, he's the motorsports marketing division.
Gotcha. Yeah, and he's a cool dude that, he's helped us out with King of the Hammers, getting us set up with the Rangers, the LN boxes, all the gear that we bring down there from Lincoln to make it happen. And I know he kind of initially set us off on send guys out there and whatnot. And what year you went 2 years ago now, Caleb?
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. Now you're probably like 3 or 4 years back now.
Yeah,
huh?
I think 4 years ago. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think what the intention is behind it is they're trying to educate, I guess, the people they sponsor. Right, they're taking information and knowledge and passing it down to the motorsports
Right.
area.
Yeah, it's pretty cool too because Lincoln makes virtually everything they sell in America, which is cool. I know they're spinning up tons of wire. It's enough to go around the world a couple times or something per day, some crazy number.
Yeah, they make a lot there.
Yeah.
Crazy, putting their own circuit boards together and stuff. I remember hearing little bits, looking it up, seeing pictures, and pretty impressive facility. There's a lot to aspire to, that's for sure.
Giant, whatever that is, the wind.
Yeah,
windmill.
I was just about to talk about that. They had to take like a 7-state bypass detour to get the windmill to their factory. Most of the underpasses that you would go under were too short, so they had to go around a bunch of states to miss the underpasses.
Wow.
Until they finally got it to where it is. I think at the base it's 16 to 20 feet wide, I think.
Wow.
So
I wonder how they
Savage.
found that information out. Like, do you think? Like, I don't think you can just go up and Google that, right? You have to drive. You have to drive the location. Nope, this isn't gonna work. Let's go that way.
Yeah.
They sent
Got
like
the
30
pilot car.
They just sent like 30 people out and go drive from here to here.
yeah, all their sales reps in that area.
Measure the bridge. Take this laser finder.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Danny, what about you? As far as brands or shops or.
I've definitely been a big fan of the Haas machines as well. I've been in a lot of different machine shops, and I've run a lot of different brands of machines too. But the Haas were always the easiest to run. They're kind of, you get on them, you know what you're doing on all of them. Like the controllers are pretty similar. They're really easy to get into and run, and they do what you're expecting to do almost all the time. I've run some other machines that are way faster, way stronger, and did different things, but they always were difficult in one way or another. So the Haas have always been pretty good. As far as And then older machinery, I really like the old Bridgeports and stuff like that. Lathes and mills, like can't really beat the Bridgeport. That was kind of like the gold standard for the day back before all the CNC stuff.
Yeah, that's the benchmark, man. I mean, we put so many miles on our Bridgeport.
We still have like the original one we bought, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's the
Yeah, I think we have the original one, then we have another one we added later on.
so we bought that one in like I'm trying to think what year that was. It had to be like 2011 or 2012, and that was like a big deal because we were like going to start machining like diff covers.
Yeah.
In house, yeah. And it still is like it's been machining diff covers until like up in like I don't know a year ago or maybe
Yeah.
does it still?
A couple of years ago, it was pumping out diff covers. When another machine would go down, we'd have to throw the jigs and fixtures on the Bridgeport, and someone would have to get down manually.
It's hard to beat old iron, man. It's
Yeah.
hard to beat it.
Yeah.
Just strong shoulders from cranking the wheel, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even now with our new Haas mill that we just got during that transition, because of power and some other stuff, we weren't able to use our other mill, so we had to revert back to our Bridgeport, and
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
it was just kicking ass.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Manual machining,
As far
man,
as-
it's beautiful. It's amazing what people can do, you know?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Sorry, outside the machining world though, like I already kind of mentioned I'm a big Toyota fan. Been driving Toyotas forever. And right now I've got a 2009 Tacoma, just a 2-wheel drive 4-door. It's a family rig, not really much of a played rig, but I have dreams of maybe doing something like pre-runner style with it later, but we'll see how that goes.
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to think of other brands that I really like. The machine shop I worked for before, Promoto Billet, even now, I still really like looking at what they do because they, it's all CNC machine stuff. It's mostly aluminum billet stuff, but they do make their stuff look really good. It's very prismatic and very, almost looks like jewelry for, UTVs and motorcycles. And so I still kind of look at them and try to use them as some inspiration now and then, even though we're in a completely different market and we're using different materials and stuff like that. It's still kind of cool to look at them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I always look at different industries for inspiration anywhere, really. I guess even if it's like marketing, we'll just gather inspiration from other people in marketing or
Totally.
other ideas. In
Yeah,
general,
sometimes
so.
it's stuff that's out of your own beaten path. Stuff really makes a difference. Something neat, something interesting, a little different.
Yeah.
What about you, Garrett? What's stuff that you like?
Shoot, I don't know. I wasn't prepared for that question. Shops and brands. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I haven't used the Haas machines ever. I was like too afraid to like try and figure out how to program CNC stuff for fun because I might crash them and then we'll be down for a week and cost a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really enjoy like playing on a lathe and whatnot. So, but I don't know. I don't really have a good answer, I guess.
Oh, yeah. All right, what do we got next? Who designs the tooling you guys use? This is another user-submitted question.
Yeah, I think this goes back to the fixtures and the jigs, things like that. That's all done in-house as far as weld ups go. So all of our axle housings and our razor A-arms and everything, those are all made on in-house jigs that we made. So we have some really cool axle jigs. Just a big I-beam, essentially. I don't know. Did you make those, Garrett, or were you involved in that? Yeah.
Yeah. I made the first one or two, or
First
actually,
one.
I think I might have made all three of them. I don't remember
Yeah.
now. Two for sure.
We
yeah.
have 3 now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why, like, what the idea was, like, why we did it that way, but I just remember making them.
Yeah.
I think we thought like we had to clamp everything down like super tight, and that's why we did. That's why we went with an I-beam,
Yeah.
and then having the adjustability. I think Mel was one of our machinists that made the first those first like tube clamps.
Yeah. Yeah.
That are still around. Actually, I think he made all of them actually, and then we've just been like fixing them along the way.
Kind of making them work.
But yeah, that was a long time ago. I think I did all those holes with either a drill press or that mag drill, like the electronic mag
Yeah,
drill.
mag drill.
I don't remember now. It's been a long time. All right, I just actually thought of a brand that it does inspire me a lot, and that's Origin Maine, out of Maine.
Hell of a brand.
And the reason why they're sick is they're a manufacturer of actually quite a few things now, but they make jiu-jitsu gis, and that's how I found out about them. and they make everything in the U.S., which is dope.
Yeah, I mean they're into all kinds of textiles, boots.
Yeah, they make boots now. They make
Shirts,
jeans,
pants.
shirts. They make supplements too now in the U.S. But the cool thing is like the story behind that company and like how the guy like started off like importing gis and just his designs were getting stolen from other, from his vendor, like selling them off to other people. And then he would see his new designs with different logos on it and whatever else. And he just ended up getting pissed one day and was like, all right, fine, I'm making my own factory. I'm going to do my own stuff. And so he built a factory with like no real good plan in mind. He's like, I'm just going to make my own gis. And he ends up trying to make his gis and get and gis are like, I didn't explain that properly. Gis are like the uniform like that you like train jiu-jitsu in. If like it looks like a pajamas or something. It's kind of funny. But he couldn't get. He built this factory on his property out in Maine, and then he needed to get fabric, and he realized. So he bought a sewing machine, was ready to start making gis. Went to go buy fabric, and realized all the fabric is made overseas, that he could find at least, and he wanted to go buy a loom now. Like this is like a short version, right? So he goes to find a loom to make his own cotton or own material.
Spin material.
And he found out that all the looms during like the downturn, and I think even just before that, were shipped overseas. So like American companies were shipping off machinery overseas to sell the stuff back to us. It was just crazy. And so he's been slowly like bringing this industry like back, and same thing with like all the boot equipment, like,
which is really a dying industry in America, unfortunately.
Yeah, the boots and stuff were even like worse. He said like the way I've heard him in a couple podcasts. He has his own podcast called like Hands in Daylight. I heard him on the Jocko podcast first originally because they teamed up. But yeah, he's done some crazy stuff, and they're just growing like crazy, and just really, really inspiring company. And just gets me like fired up every time I listen to him talk about like just how like the risks they've taken and like how they're just like pushing hard to like make everything they can. And they're just a manufacturer, but they're making something a little bit different than us, but like it's the same type of business that they're making stuff, and it's awesome.
Bring jobs here, making it happen.
Totally. So
I actually just thought of a few companies that I'm big fans of. Ford. I'm a very big Ford fan. Have been for a long time. Grew up in Chevys, but somehow eventually ended up in Ford trucks and smart designs. Big proponents of Dana fucking 60s, which everybody can get behind.
Yeah.
Toyota axles all the way.
Eventually they'll figure it out.
do they even make straight axles anymore in the front?
No, not at all.
Maybe in other countries. I don't know, man. They got cool shit in other
Yeah,
countries.
in other countries they do make some weird looking stuff.
I'm also a big fan of Stihl chainsaws, or Steel, however you pronounce it. Not automotive, but really well thought out designs and beautiful craftsmanship. I have a buddy that has one from the 90s. It's all steel, and it's big 30-inch bar, ridiculously heavy machine that just has 20 years of just grinding down on the bottom, getting dropped into the dirt as people are moving shit around and whatnot. But I'm also a big fan of Glock. Beautiful craftsmanship, simple, tough.
I like me a Glock.
Like me some Glock. Yeah, a lot of Glock fans in this room, actually.
Yeah.
Which actually, on that topic, what you have a 17?
I believe it's 17. Yeah, 4 and 4.5 inch barrel, or 4. Yeah, I think 4.5 inch
4.5.
barrel.
Yeah, which is 9 mil.
Yeah, it's
And
a 9
then
millimeter.
What do you got? You got? Is that all the Glocks you got?
Yeah. And you got a couple, don't you, Wyatt?
I do. Yeah, I have a 19, which is the mid-size 9.
Slightly shorter than the 17, right?
Yeah. And I also have a 23.
That's still a full grip, though, full handle. It's not like a compact.
I think it's slightly shorter. It's in
Gotcha.
between their full size and their subcompact. So I mean, I think
Gotcha.
everything's just shrunk.
You have a Glock 23?
I do. Yeah, the 40 cal.
Oh, it's a 40 cal. Okay, I was
Yeah.
thinking of the that little compact like 9 mil.
Oh, the 43s.
The 43, yeah.
the single
Those are hard
stack.
to get, and they're
Yeah, those are
expensive.
hard.
They're like $900,000 because they're LEO.
Oh yeah.
Because we live in California.
Yeah.
I'm too young to have any guns, handguns at least. So,
But the first one you're buying is going to be Glock Piston. And then you got a couple, don't you, Garett?
I have a 17 and a 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both 9 subcompact and just range full size. Yeah. But I really wanted the OD green model when that came, because they come out like once every couple of years, I think.
Yeah,
or,
a few years.
They just re-released them. The
They did?
Battlefield Green, for the new gens, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I did whatever. I think it's Gen 3 is the one I got.
But yeah, I guess kind of the theme of stuff I like is tough and simple. You know, not a lot of crazy stuff going on. Although the Ford truck I have has a lot of crazy stuff going on, turbos and computers and junk like that, and a lot of gears and all that. But I like simple engineering that's tough and lasts a long time. You know, something you can really beat on for years and years and years and keep its value. And I'm not really a resale value kind of guy, I realize. It's just more of like, how much time can I beat the crap out of it before I got to get a new one, you know? Anyway.
Danny, you got Glocks?
You know, being from Idaho, you'd think I'd have a bunch because we have tons of gun owners up here, but I own none right now.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I was going to say just from Idaho.
Yeah, I'm kind of backwards in that way. Like, there's part of me that's wanted to start collecting a little bit, but I'm so much into bikes. Like, anytime I've got extra money, it's going to bike parts. So
yeah, you still do a lot of BMX stuff with the kids and stuff, huh?
Oh yeah, we do a lot of riding.
And you guys do moto too, still, right?
I kind of got out of the moto thing. Like, I do a little bit of trail riding now, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But mostly, we've been doing a lot of BMX. I have a dirt jumper, been doing that a bunch, and a little bit of mountain biking too.
Oh yeah, that's fun, man. It's fun to get out there.
Yeah.
If you're on 4 wheels with a motor, or 2 wheels and your 2 leg motors, it's always a good time getting out.
So we were talking about tooling and jigs and stuff, right? I think Wyatt was telling us.
I mean, we got the Mata.
Oh,
those all work pretty good, right? All the tooling you use for that.
We have a big Amata, 8-foot Amata press brake. I think it's an 80-ton press brake with the CNC back gauge that we bend most of our bent parts on, and that's been a big help for us bringing more things in-house manufacturing. That's kind of our goal. With that, we're able to buy just flat laser cut parts and bend them in-house. So our press brake guy Tim, he kicks ass every day.
Tim gets after it, man.
He's a character.
Just hear him talking to his podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
Yelling at his podcast. Having a great time.
Yeah. We also have a lot of Bailey machines. We have 2 Bailey lathes. We have a really big Bailey lathe. We put axle housings in that when we need to machine those.
Which that, I gotta say, is a sight to see. I mean, that is impressive to see that housing spin around like that, and how true you guys can actually get it is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have that one, the big one. We have a little one that machines, all of our custom DOM is machined on a little smaller Bailey lathe. And we machine other stuff on that one too, axle housing ends, like bearing cups for 4 9-inches and stuff. It gets machined on the manual machine. Not completely machined, just machined to go inside of our axle tubes. And then we have a Bailey mill, which for a long time, that was our workhorse for diff covers.
Yeah, that thing kicked ass for days, man.
Yeah, it's got servos on it, of course, so you're not manually feeding anything, but it's a manual knee mill with servos on it. So I mean, it's pretty basic compared to a modern day
compared
CNC
to the
mill.
VF4 we just picked up.
Yeah.
Might as well be a dinosaur compared to that beautiful thing.
Yeah, we run that thing hard all the time, all day. And it has a DRO on it, so we can machine some other complex parts, but we don't do any super complicated machining on it. We machine our axle housings on it currently. So we're fly cutting the seal surface, we're drilling the hole pattern, and we're making sure our depths are correct, so we fit our third members correctly. But as far as that goes, it's pretty much the only production stuff it does. I think anything crazy we do off the clock on that one.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we got the cold saw too, I guess, huh?
Oh yeah, the Bailey cold saw. Yeah, that gets used hard every day, cutting tube.
We've almost worn a hole through the tube, like
the guide rack.
The rack, yeah.
Yeah, our 120 wall tube is almost wore completely through from tube sliding across it.
Yeah.
It is impressive to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to see just from basic friction
Yeah.
how much steel can get removed in a couple years' time.
Yeah.
And what did we count up one time? We were cutting almost like 22,000 feet out of that thing since we bought it or something. That was a couple years ago when we figured that number out.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out. It was, I don't know.
Insane amount of tube.
Yeah.
Over the past couple of years. It's just insane.
Yeah, it was a number of miles, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Like a handful of miles.
We broke it down in miles and it really put it in perspective. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tooling. What else? Is that it?
I think that's about it.
We were talking about brands a little bit ago, and you were talking about brands that inspire you. Another one that kind of inspired me was Fast Cap, which I know you looked into with all their lean stuff and whatnot. Like, they really pushed that market a lot as far as lean manufacturing and all that kind of stuff, making manufacturing go fast and easy. And yeah. So I love watching his videos. Like he's always got something that's like, oh man, that make things so much easier, so much faster, like less mistakes. Like they just really inspiring company to watch.
Yeah, every time I watch one of those videos, I get like super fired up. I'm like, all right, I got an idea. And then
Now that's the guy that's real big on implementing Kanban cards and stuff like that for
Yep.
lean manufacturing. Right?
Yeah, just lean in general. Yeah, like they showed like their whole Kanban system. And there's like it's called like Fast Cap Shop Tour, and there's a first one, and there's like a 2.0 version. The first one I thought was like the best, just because it just goes quickly over like everything they have, and yeah, I agree with Danny. That's a definitely inspiring company, and just how they do everything. It's kind of like a little bit overwhelming at first because you think of just like, God, that feels like such a OCD way to do things or whatever. But then when you actually like are just like thinking about like the intent behind it all and like what they're actually doing is they're making things like simpler and easier.
Yeah.
They're like, it's more frustrating to like have to do things like 3 times or like someone forgot to order this and now you're out of stock or whatever. Just simple little things that like can be frustrating, but they just make it easy.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, let's we got you guys all here on the podcast. Let's talk about some of the processes for designing new products. I mean, what happens once we decide we got to make this thing? I mean, what's kind of the first steps?
So we have product meetings once a week, every Thursday. A lot of the department heads get together and they talk about a new idea that somebody had or something that they saw.
Yeah, we'll go over it and see if we decide we want to do it, and if we do, then we'll kind of prioritize it into where it fits with our other projects and whatnot.
Yeah, we'll see. We have a lot of projects going on at once, just because there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to making a new product. So, yeah, we'll start on the weekly meetings, and we have a checklist we go down. It starts obviously in the design stage with Danny, and he'll draw up a design, and then we'll get together and talk about it. There's things we can change, things we like, things we don't like, ways we can make it easier to manufacture. And then from there it goes to a first article stage where we submit an order for a sample of one part or a handful of parts, just a small run, and then we can get our hands on it and actually have a physical part to look at and test and measure and see how it works. And then from there we'll figure out more things that we need to change, or if we like the product, it'll get pushed through to our purchasing, I guess, to make sure it's feasible.
Yeah.
Trying to find vendors and supply chains that are able to meet our price requirements to bring a competitive price to market. Then after that, I mean, it gets thrown up on the website. There's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes on the website. I know Lewis does all of our pictures and descriptions and everything. That's a very involved process, but from our end, we see it go right up on the website. And it's live pretty much. So.
Yeah.
And after like the first article stage, generally like what I've seen is, especially when it's like outsourced, is we'll do a first article, get it in our hands, then we have to make some edits.
Yeah.
And then get another article.
Yeah.
And then either that's good or it's not good, and it just keeps going until it's good, right?
Yeah, that's really the biggest issue we have right now is waiting on first articles, and that was one of the reasons that we're looking into getting a laser. Is bringing that process in-house would speed it up immensely, not having to submit an order to a vendor and wait for them to get around to make it and then ship it to us. Then we got to have our press brake bend it. So
yeah, sometimes we wait for samples for a month or more to just get one sample and check it and see if it's even what we want before we make another edit. So going through 2 or 3 edits on a part can take half a year.
Yeah.
And or like the bed rack, we've gone on that for over a year now.
Yeah.
But so bringing that laser in house should make things go much quicker in that regard. We could get prototypes done much quicker and checked out the door. Get new product on the shelf.
Which has always like surprised me as like from a vendor aspect, because if you think about it, like they're not making money on that part until they start making it for us. Mm-hmm. Until they we start selling it, they may, so it's in their best interest to make it as quick as possible and get it to market.
Get that turnaround time down.
So I know everyone's like really busy, so it's like it seems like a low hanging fruit to them probably. And they got other orders that are coming in. There's more money, on that, but Yeah, I think it's funny that it's just interesting, I guess, to look at it from that perspective. So
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of something Wyatt hinted at is that you were picking up a big Bystronic laser. It's a pretty big step, pretty cool, exciting thing. You'll be able to really accelerate some stuff up. So
and lean things
lean
out
it
too.
So yeah, if you like RuffStuff products and that's the reason you're listening to this right now, get ready for a whole lot more of them a lot faster.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Like, I think we will be able to develop stuff a lot quicker with that thing in house.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, it's all about more than, just in speeding things up, where it's, increasing the value we can bring to our team and the amount of stuff we can make here, in-house.
Yeah.
Expanding jobs, adding new jobs, and kind of just taking it to the next step, being super legit in everything we do.
And mainly to be able to supply our customers too, because if that wasn't a problem like that would be like, we might not be looking at that right now.
Yeah.
But we're trying to like solve problems constantly. That's like what running a business is about, or generally, right? You're trying to just constantly solving one problem after the next, and there's multiple problems that come with our plate stuff. And so, yeah, laser is like the solution for sure.
And being able to take that headache out of our hands, out of the customer's hands, spectacular.
Well, another cool thing too is, like, in the past, we pretty much had one CAD guy, and we were kind of bottlenecked even by that, and I was that CAD guy for a little bit. But now with, Wyatt and Caleb being able to get into Fusion and SolidWorks and start developing a lot more stuff, we should be able to get through a lot more products in a very short amount of time. So I feel like, we're really going to start catapulting pretty soon with all our capabilities.
Yeah, and the way Fusion works is you can actually see each person's progress in real time. So if Danny's working on a project, we can also have the same part open and we can see what's going on that day. So we're never really left behind or anything like that. We can always see what stage the part's at.
Oh shit, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's kind of live updating as you guys go through.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how's the file? So is the file management? What's that?
Sorry.
Danny?
I was gonna say it works good for training too, because like we were able to do a conference call the other day, and I could see what they were doing, and I could make some changes. I could open up the same file that they had open, and kind of follow right along with them. So it definitely has been a good tool that way.
So for file management, we've always just had all the part numbers on our server, which is shared on our domain, like internally here in the office, or through whatever VPN. And now Fusion uses cloud, so you can share those items or see live, like you're saying. So now the current, is the file system going to stay the same for us? Like, are we going to keep everything on the server, like a final copy on the server, or is everything moving to the cloud, or how are we doing that?
It'd be nice to be able to back them up on the server as well. I think everything by default, Fusion goes to the cloud, but I believe there is some ways to back that up and maybe still have it in both places. I've been kind of looking into that. There's still some learning I need to do on that to figure out exactly what we're going to do with our file structure. But I think either way, both file structures in the cloud and on our server will be basically the same type of setup. Like, we're going to keep, our numbers in their own folder on that one file. So it should be pretty easy to find stuff on either one.
Right on.
Oh yeah. So you guys have been making RuffStuff gear for a while. Has there been any particularly challenging products you guys can remember that have just been a royal pain in your ass to get right and get them to market?
I got
You guys all got one. It looks like.
Everybody's got
I
one.
got a few. The one that was my bane for a while was that TJ Panhard bar bracket.
Oh, yeah.
The 1988. The other one. Anyways, yeah, we went through so many iterations on that thing, so many different tries to get that thing right, and it just had a bunch of complex bends in a small spot, and we just couldn't get the vendors to nail it right, and we couldn't tell if the drawing was wrong or if the vendor just wasn't able to get it. And so finally I ended up breaking it up into two pieces, and now I've been able to nail it no problem. But that one, I don't know how many iterations we went through on that, like Rev G or H or something like that, before we finally got
An embarrassing amount of revs.
Yeah.
What about you, Wyatt? What's one that really stands out as like a real kicker for you?
Well, I remember we had one that was supposed to be really simple, but we were having issues in the bend up process. It was the Jeep upper control arm
R1666
bracket. Yeah, it was the one that goes on the Jeep front upper control arms. It's kind of like it's a 2-inch wide mounting width. I don't know what you call it. It's like a
Some people call it a pickle. What do they call it? Or no, a fork end or whatever. I don't know. I've heard people use different
all
terms for
Jeeps
it.
use the same style bracket on there. So if you on a Jeep, you kind of know what we're talking about. But on the front upper control arm, there's a bracket that has to fit around a 2-inch mounting width bushing. And the way we had it made is there was 3 bends in the part, and the final bend we were having issues with it cracking every time right on the bend seam. So I don't know how many revs we had on that, but there was a lot.
We had a lot on that one too.
Yeah.
Then finally, the same thing there. We ended up breaking it up into 2 pieces again, and made it much easier to make.
Yeah, and it came down to, I think, the grain direction in the metal. Like the plate steel has grains in it, and depending which way you bend it, if it's with the grain or against the grain, it's going to have a tendency to crack more. So I mean, playing with that.
And dependent on the dies you use for bending too, right?
Yeah.
The radiuses and the V die.
Yeah,
punch.
the punch radius and the V die width is all going to have a factor in that. So I think eventually we decided to make it 2 parts, have the top piece weld on, and that after we did that, I think we nailed it first try. So
I think I remember that one actually too, because it was on the sheet, for our new product meeting every week. And it's yep, nope, still having problems. Yep, nope.
Yeah.
And I think it was everyone had tunnel vision on that, and I forget if it was me or someone else. Then they were just why don't we just make it 3 pieces and just weld it on? They're okay, yeah, and then it just got fixed. But you know how you get hyper just we gotta fix this and get tunnel vision. I think that's what was happening on that one.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Caleb? I mean, what's a real ringer that you remember?
Honestly, the new rock sliders were not making them or assembling them, but the part numbers themselves, just with the different lengths. There's a lot of different configurations of them. It got really confusing, and I was kind of the one making all the part files on that, and I ended up giving Danny a call and had him help me out with that because it was really sloppy and confusing. I could find the part number, but if I asked Wyatt or Danny to, I'm not sure that they would be able to. So
that's kind of neat. So the one that's big pain for you is more on the organizational aspect of it, of having something that's a similar SKU with multiple variables again and again and again and again.
Yep. When
the biggest variable is extra feet, extra guts, it's more tube.
Yep.
It's not like it's a new product; it's just more of the same junk.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's the issue too with changing the pattern from an odd number to an even number. First we had the pattern set off for the mid plane, so then you just change the pattern by 2. You could get it, if you stayed in an odd number is no problem, but all of a sudden you went to an even number, you have to change where the start point's at, all kinds of stuff. So it's a little bit more complex than it seems just to add a couple parts to it.
Yeah, that one, and actually another really simple product, our brake bracket, the clamp-on one, it gets bent to a 90, and then it gets a radius bent into it.
Oh, the hose tab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And SolidWorks and Fusion both, they do not want you to put a radius right on the edge of a bend. So, that was really confusing on how to get that modeled up with the correct dimensions and correct bend radius and everything. So,
I think you have to trick the software and cut really small reliefs in it, probably for next to the radius.
We actually ended up making 2 different bodies and having to loft them together to get it to do what we wanted. Just because once you put a bend in something, a 90-degree bend, and then you want to basically roll that bend, there's no flat section left anymore. So the computer software just did not know what to do with that.
It doesn't want you to bend over another bend radius, right? Or at the edge of another bend radius.
Yeah, in the real world, there's some distortion that happens to make that happen. You have basically 2 perpendicular bends going on in the same place, and SolidWorks and Fusion don't really know how to figure out what that distortion is. But so we had to make some special bodies to make it work. It's kind of a half flat pattern, and then there's a different configuration for the actual part that has the lofts going together. So it was kind of a tricky little one to figure out, even though it is a pretty simple part. And in real world, it's really easy to bend that part and put the radius on it. It's not that hard, but to make SolidWorks or Fusion understand that is a whole different thing.
Yeah, I feel I had an issue with that Sam 1 or something like that a long time ago, and some tricks we did for things like that was cut really, really tiny reliefs to where you couldn't see it, and then throw the bend on it, and then in the DXF, when it flattens out, you can just delete the lines, I think.
Yeah.
I believe. It's been a while.
Well, talked about some pain in the butt products to design and make real. What about your guys' favorite Rough Stuff products? I mean, is there any particular that are like, man, that is a great product, whether you had a hand in it or not? I mean, what's something you guys have always liked? What do you think, Gild?
I'm a fan of all of our tabs and weld washers. I like to weld washer everything.
See, that's the new generation of builder, man. Weld washer in every single hole.
Yeah,
all the
I mean,
time,
I don't
every
know.
single thing.
I remember I was like 15, came in here, and I needed some off-road parts, and the guys were like, oh, I think I actually had drilled the hole to the wrong size or something, and they're like, oh, why don't you use a fix-it weld washer? And I was like, what is that? And as soon as he explained it to me, yeah, fell in love with those things. They're awesome.
Came on.
I can't remember if the Fix-It, I think the Fix-It might have been Dan's idea,
Yeah.
that one, but I know the threaded one was my idea. I got it from trying to do, I was working on Dan's FJ40, and I was trying to mount a cross member to the frame, but I didn't want to, like, there was no room to, like, just add tabs, and so I cut holes out, and then put a washer, like a normal weld washer with a nut on the back of it, and then welded that flush to the frame, and that way you could put like bolt things up to the inside of your frame rail and have threads on it.
Nice.
And so I was like, we should make this.
Yeah, I haven't used the threaded ones a whole lot, but definitely the fix-its and just the regular ones are sweet.
Yeah, super handy.
Yep.
What do you like, Wyatt?
My favorite product is probably got to be our axle housings. I think they're sweet.
Now you're working on a 6-lug one right now.
I
right?
am, yeah. I built a
Your 6-lug Jeep.
my 6-lug Jeep, yeah. I have it's just a semi-float 35 spine semi-float rear Rough Stuff housing I built, and turned out really well. It's got armor on it. Yeah, I can't wait to put it in. I got a matching front 60 to throw in there also. So
Now it's a Super Duty 60 that you're redrilling 6, right?
yeah, so it's the 99 to 04 Super Duty. So it's the one before the
No control arm.
yeah,
BS.
none of that.
Those huge
yeah, none of
bosses
that stuff on there. I started with one of those, and it was just so big and massive. I'm like, dude, my Jeep can't handle this. So I stepped it down to 99 to 04.
Now, did you end up retubing that one?
No, that was just
Okay.
factory width. That was another reason, because it was a little bit narrower, so I could just leave it alone. It has 3.5 inch 3/8 wall axle tube.
Beef.
So yeah, it's a beefy axle in itself, but it's not super overkill. And I was able to bore the unit bearings to fit 35 spline outers, and re-drill the unit bearings to 6-lug, because 6-lug wheels are everywhere, Chevy and Toyota guys. So
Yeah. You always get a spare somewhere.
yeah, the used market is saturated with those, and on the trail, if you blow a bead, you can always hit up your buddy for a 6-lug wheel.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Danny? What's something that you like?
I might be a little bit biased. Most of the ones that I like are the ones that I've worked on, but the one that I had a lot of fun doing was the TJ front bumper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
It was kind of fun too, because it came to me from Neil and Wyatt. Actually gave me a cardboard cutout on that one to start with, and we took that cardboard cutout and had to go through and redesign the edge, the corners and stuff like that, and ended up coming out pretty well. When we were finished with it, and I was really happy with that one when it was finished. The other one I really liked was we did a redesign on the axle truss, the beefy truss.
Yeah, it turned out beautiful.
That one turned out pretty good, and I was actually, we had those. I had those overlays that we were gonna do. I'd like to get back and do those eventually with the American flag and some of the other ones.
Yeah, Mallard brought that up yesterday, and I totally forgot about those overlays, and I really would like to do a couple samples of that at least, especially the American flag one.
Yeah.
That one's pretty sick.
It's one
I
of my
think it'd be
favorite
pretty
designs.
And then the bed rack, which isn't out yet. I've been having a lot of fun on that one. I think it's gonna be pretty cool when we get it done. So those are my 3 favorites that I've got as far as stuff that I've been working on around here.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's all been fun though.
What about you, Garrett? What's something that you've always been a fan of or recently started liking?
You know what? Those new shirts we got.
Yeah?
I think I'm gonna even like the brand. I'm gonna go. I think just buy that brand. Like I like how they fit.
Just for the Rough Stuff ones.
Yeah, just do all Rough Stuff. Axle housings are awesome, dude. Like I know they're not really like our design, because like they've been around forever, but trick tabs I freaking love.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
everyone loves, like, it's like weld washers. They're just I used them for everything on when I built my Toyota, and yeah, they're rad.
Oh,
But yeah, I mean, yeah, the bumper, actually that TJ bumper came out really sick. I do like that new redesign on the rear truss, the overlays would make it just those little overlay designs would make it way badass. I think just
So-
as far as style
So
points.
for people like listening that are like, what the hell are they talking about overlays? This is taking your awesome RuffStuff beefy axle truss and just plastering an American flag cut out right over the back of it. Which
Hell yes.
you better like, because it looks awesome. And it's our flag.
Yeah.
What's not to like?
It's rad.
I could even see some guys out there doing like a two-tone or something like that on there, or like, you know, you're painting the background and then painting the front, the overlay on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Make it
Oh,
pop.
yeah.
Yeah, or paint it and paint everything and grind it and then
Clear
clear
Yeah,
it
cut
up.
that
look-
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. What else we got here? Another question we had is, how do you guys put a personal touch on things? So, like, I know it's a little easier for Danny because he's the one drawing this up. But, I mean, all you guys have a lot of input on stuff, how it's going to look, you know, how it's even going to function. Do you guys got any examples? You want to chat on that? Anything of that variety?
Off the top of my head, I'm going to have to think about that.
I think Wyatt just focuses on efficiency and like
Making
Yeah.
it real.
just
Yeah.
make it.
I want to cut 5 seconds how to make this part, so we're
Yeah.
going to get rid of that. Yeah.
But it's always a
That's your
balance.
personal touch, man.
Yeah.
Spinning up, I mean, gosh, what was it? The misalignments, increased production on those. What was it, like 8 more parts a stick or something like that? Or 6 more parts?
Oh, we had. Well, yeah, we've yet to do that. We need to get a
That's
automatic
with the feeder,
a
right?
bar feeder, yeah, for our lathe. Right now we're using 3-foot sections of material, so we're having to cut a 12-foot stick up 4 times, and each one of those bars you get a 4-inch long drop that the machine has to hold on to every time. So an auto bar feeder, we can have a full 12-foot stick and only have one of those 4-inch drops per stick. So that would
Beautiful.
cut down a lot of waste, and we make so many. I think we run 8 bars a day per lathe, so we're running 2 lathes, 16 bars a day, and 4 or 5 inches of wasted material times 16 adds up.
Yeah,
So,
especially throughout the year.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think we figured out it would almost pay for itself just
Yeah.
in the material it would save.
Oh, yeah. On just the aesthetic side of it, though, too, like compared to when we were doing the outsourced ones, bringing those in house, like you got those
Oh yeah,
the speeds down good, and the finish on those is just amazing compared to the ones that we were getting.
Yeah.
yeah, just dialing in the program and changing little things here and there, adding chamfers and fillets that look a little bit nicer than what we were getting imported, and just taking a little more time to have a better surface finish. And
Actually, I think all those were domestic.
were they really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just local machine shops. Huh?
Yeah.
That's the big thing,
And
too.
that backside chamfer tool, that thing has been cool too.
Oh yeah, the pre-poured off.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Saved us tons of time, tons of man hours.
Well, what's crazy is we were about ready to have to hire a guy for 40 hours a week
Yeah.
just to deburr.
It was almost a full-time deburr job, and we brought I think it was like $300 for that tool.
Yeah.
So we had to buy 2 of them for each lathe, and
Great investment.
Yeah. It adds 5 seconds per part, but you're not paying a guy to stand there and deburr each part individually. So
So what you're saying, our rods are 3 feet long that we're cutting? Or are we using 4-foot sticks?
so they're 12-foot from the mill, and we use 3-foot sticks in the machine. So we have 4 3-footers out of each.
Wow. So we're running about 48 feet of misalignment a day. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's a big thing, too, is that a lot of companies, they'll settle for subpar machinist quality. We always did our best to get the best we could, but you can't guarantee the quality every time. And a lot of companies now are also just depending on outsource, imported stuff. And if you're seeing quality, it's not always what you're looking for when you're paying top dollar. So it's been nice to be able to, bring more machines in-house and really ensure that we put out, like, super high-quality stuff that, it fits exactly how it should versus work good enough to go for a run,
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's very nice.
What about direction? You guys have a direction you want to see us go, or?
I think we're headed in the right direction. I think the more machines we can bring on in-house and cut out the middleman, the better. I think we've proved that works, and we like where we're going with the lathes and the press brake. So we got the mill now, so now we're bringing even more parts in-house. We're going to focus on diff covers and axle housings first, because those are our main items. But once we get those dialed in, we'll have some downtime in the mill that we can bring in even more products.
Maybe some Glock parts, who knows?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and and the laser too. I mean, that's gonna
yeah. The
bring
laser's
in like a
huge.
ton of our products in house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The majority of them at that point.
I think we've been talking about it. We'll see a bottleneck and probably on the press
Probably
brake.
one of those pretty soon.
But what about you, Caleb? You got a direction you want to see us go, or?
I mean, even product direction wise, what are you
Yeah.
looking to build, man?
Honestly, like, yeah, I'm stoked to see more machines coming in house. And as far as like products go, I'm a Toyota guy, so obviously the more Toyota parts, the better. But yeah, I mean, I think if we can just keep making beefy parts that are as universal as possible.
It's the way to go, man.
Yeah.
It's worked pretty good so far.
Yeah.
What about you, Danny? Is there anything you're looking to push towards or you hope to see in the future?
I've been excited on the overlanding stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff we can do in that realm.
I agree, man.
I think there's just a lot of stuff in that realm that we can make. I want to do more bumpers. I had a lot of fun making that TJ bumper, and I'd like to do more of that. And I know people have been asking for more, so
I think we'll be able to play around with that a little bit more with some of this equipment we're getting as far as the laser goes, because the biggest problem when you have to outsource, even like domestically from like a local vendor down the street, no one wants to cut out like 3 bumpers for you, and it's going to cost you a bunch of money to do that. So it's not cost effective as a company to try and do that. But if you already have a laser that's cutting out, 100% of your inventory already, we can cut 1 or 2 bumpers and introduce that into the market, see if it takes, if we need to make changes. We only have a little bit of time invested into it, and we can make changes really quickly, versus having 10 or 15 or 20 bumpers, and now we're like, dang it, we got to change this and manually go through and drill these holes bigger, or plasma cut and die grind or something, crazy.
Definitely.
But
I'm looking forward to redesigning more of those trusses. I like the way that one turned out, but I'd like to do more of them. We got plans on doing a lot more trusses. Personally, I know this is going to sound kind of blasphemy, but I'd like to do some IFS type work, work on some like some Toyota front ends and stuff like that, and some of the other ones. Not solid axle stuff. I don't know if anybody else in the shop is interested in that at all, but I would be.
IFS is coming a long way, man. There's some long travel out there that's pretty damn nimble. It's hard to beat, the Dana fucking 60, but if you get a good IFS, I've seen some pretty impressive stuff. I mean, that's why Ultra 4 is moving towards it. And we're probably not going to be able to create an out of the box kit that does anything close to an Ultra 4 car just getting it through the desert and then killing it through the rocks. But I don't know. You never know. Some long travel kits could be fun. Could be a neat project. Definitely not our wheelhouse though, by any means. Definitely something we do not have the hands-on time with.
yeah, I mean the razor stuff, I guess, small scale.
Yeah, that was very challenging.
Yeah,
that was very challenging.
Yeah.
IFS centers would be cool.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
yeah.
We've talked about that for a couple of years now, man.
Yeah,
And
I know.
now with that new mill, may open up some more options on the bulkheads.
Yeah.
Those are obviously pretty intricate and
They gotta be
pricey for
perfect.
other machine shops to make. So bring that in house.
Yeah, that'd be a neat direction to go. Something that's definitely not what we're used to.
For sure.
We had another customer or follower, at least on social media. Not sure if he's a customer yet, but he probably will be soon. He was asking if we could explain some of the geometry and decisions behind some of our link kits, 3-link, 4-link, trailing arms, things like that. Just kind of why they went the direction that they have become now.
I think one of the big things behind the link kits is they have to be universal, right? So you have to they have to fit a wide range of vehicles. So we don't have any super specific kits right now. We have a few Jeep radius arm kits and things like that, but
Super Duty radius arm kit.
Super Duty radius arm kit, yeah. But most of our link kits are fairly universal when it comes to geometry. I know Garett worked on a lot of those kits, the 3-link kit and the 4-link kit, and we have quite a few of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, about that. I mean, that's what the design is to be. Yeah, they're a generic 3-link, 4-link kit. Unless they say Jeep this or Toyota that, they're not specific, right? So it's a pretty well-rounded. We try and when I was designing stuff, the thought process, and I feel like it's kind of the same way. It's like we're trying to create something that's high quality, high strength, and it's that's gonna fit well in that we'd all put on our own rigs. I feel like something I'd want to build. We're not just trying to slang stuff and hope it works.
We want you to call back. We're excited to hear how the build went. First, block that number once they make that sale.
Yeah.
But as far as like the specific stuff goes, I mean, how do you guys decide what you're doing there? Like as far as like a panhard or track bar or different, like, replacing links? I mean, is there anything special there? Is that just strength on that, or?
No, I mean, there's definitely different aspects to it. I think we have, as far as our kits go, we just cover the basic, your dual 4-link, so your lower control arms are triangulated as well as your uppers. And then we also have the single 4-link, which is straight lowers, triangulated uppers. And then we also have our 3-link kit, which is just straight links with the panhard. So as far as setting it up goes, I mean, obviously, more triangulation the better when it comes to 4-link kits. You don't want your axle to walk side to side. Straight links tends to give you that tendency to have lateral movement in a 4-link. As far as the 3-link goes, you have the panhard in there, so your axle is going to swing no matter what you do from left to right. So I think a rule of thumb is to get a long panhard that's really flat, and you want your steering drag link to match the angle of your panhard. If they're not matching, they're going to swing in different arcs, and you're going to get a lot of movement in the steering wheel. It's called bump steer.
It sucks.
So it sucks.
I think with straight axle, isn't it considered roll steer or something, or is that not?
Oh, it could be a different term. I know it as bump steer. All I know is it's not fun.
Yeah, I just remember looking that up a long time ago.
Yeah, you can go into details, kind of a rabbit hole when it comes to 4-links. There's roll center and anti-squat, anti-dive, and all that. But I mean, when it comes to a wheel and a rig, it's not a race car. So I mean, if you're just going on the trail, I mean, as long as you got decent separation in your links, you got triangulation, it's going to do fine.
Yeah, that's why a lot of our brackets also have multiple holes, so you can tailor it into what you need. Because a lot of times you end up building something and it's not in the hole you initially intended to. But if you go down to the next one, you're flat, you're matched your drag link, your panhard's looking great, you can drive a lot better.
And so I've heard that too about having a track bar that's as flat as possible, as long as possible, and trying to match your drag link, right?
Right.
But if you can't get it very long and it's matching your drag link, that's not always the best way to go, right? Because you still need to cycle it and make sure, because if it's a shorter track bar, that means it's going to be pulling your axle like left to right quicker than your drag link is, because your drag length is generally longer.
Right.
So wouldn't you want to, I guess, cycle that and make sure that's not going to do that, or get it flat, or and more flat versus trying to match that drag link, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, ideally at ride height, which is your vehicle sitting on its own weight, you would want your links to be at just a neutral angle, which means there's no load on anything, because that's, most of the time your vehicle's at ride height. But then again, you need to clear everything at full bump. So I mean, it's kind of a guess and check method, I guess. You need to build everything to clear at full bump, but still have articulation to get the droop you want, and still handle reasonably well.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why it's hard to make an off-the-shelf. This fits this perfectly.
Yeah.
It'll do this perfectly, because the littlest changes can make the biggest differences.
Yeah, what works on a Jeep is not going to work on a Toyota or a full-size Chevy or something like that.
Yeah, my advice, I don't know. Actually, maybe you guys have some more input on this, Danny and Caleb.
Yeah, my Toyota has some really messed up geometry to it. I built it when I was young, but
it wheels like a champion.
Yeah, it still works. I mean, there's not much that it won't go up if you spend a few minutes with it working on it. But yeah, my drag link is much longer than my panhard is, and so because of that, I actually made my track bar a little bit flatter to try to catch it in the arc. I don't know if it works. I know at ride height, I don't get too bad of bump steer going down the road, but when I'm wheeling, I can definitely feel the bump steer. So, yeah.
And that's what I was going to comment on, I guess, is like when my thought process is behind it. If you have it at ride height and you cycle the suspension up to where it's at full bump, if you can minimize the bump steer in that range, that's ideally what you want to do. You can't get rid of 100% of it because it's just going to happen. But trying to get rid of it from ride height to full bump, because if you're driving on the road or you're driving faster, you don't want to hit a bump and it to steer you around. But if you're at full, like, you're less likely to be at full droop and then go to full bump, unless you're jumping it, which you're going to have other problems.
Yeah.
It does happen though.
So that's how I've gone, theorized and built that's how I built my truck, and have always recommended to people to do it that way. So
I think it's like building it around your purpose. You know, are you trying to go fast? Are you trying to be an Ultra 4 car?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to take your family out and go wheeling? So,
yeah. So another question is, do we have any plans to add unit bearing options for our housings? Super Duty in parentheses.
We were actually just talking about this the other day in the meeting.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, with the new mill, we'll have a certain amount of downtime, certain hours a week that we'll be able to prototype new products and potentially bring a lot of old products back. We have a lot of axle flanges that we had in the past.
Yeah, those were cool.
Yeah. That kind of goes back to what Garett was saying about we having to buy so many to bring the cost down, and then they just sit on the shelf for a long time. It wasn't cost effective for us, but bring that manufacturing in-house, we'll be able to not only bring old products back, but make new ones like bearing cups for unit bearings. That's getting to be a real popular axle now, the 05 and up Super Duty and the 99 to 04. A lot of the aftermarket axle housings are based off that older unit bearing. So with the Kingpin axle starting to fade away, I think we'll start to see a lot more unit bearing options come up in the future.
Yeah. So to answer that question, hell yeah, we are.
yep.
Rad. Do you have another question? Is do you have the model? Do you have to model the axles or parts yourselves, vehicle frames, or do you get 3D scans done to help make those models?
So it's called CAD, Cardboard Aided Design, and no, I'm joking. It used to be.
I think
We've done a bunch of that. We do actually have a pretty good setup with SEMA, where we get some CAD from them. If it's from they have a lot of stuff with Jeep, GM, and Ford, so we can get some of that stuff from them if we really need to. A lot of this axle stuff, though, you know, it's just you need to know the axle size of the tube, and a protractor will get you 90% of the way there. But yeah, the SEMA stuff does come in handy in some cases, and we definitely use that quite a bit.
Yeah. You know, especially for clearances on frames, things like that. It's sometimes hard to get one of everything, you know, in-house, and often not that possible. But axles seem to be a lot easier to get our hands on, you know. Even working with companies like LKQ, you know, it's easier to get the good stuff that you want and get your hands on it and actually get to play with it.
Yeah. I know just when I was working at ProMoto, you know, we'd had to fit parts to new bikes all the time. And I was always wishing that we could have some 3D models from the bike manufacturers. And that was something we could never get, you know, that's very much under the vest type stuff you can't have. And so when I came to RuffStuff and I was able to get some SEMA CAD from some of these companies, I was just blown away. Like, oh my God, this is so much easier.
Yeah.
You know, one thing to mention that people might be kind of tripping up on is that the SEMA CAD program is a pretty cool perk of being a member of SEMA. And it allows you to get 3D models of virtually anything and everything within, 10 years or so?
Yeah, Danny would know better now.
I wouldn't say it's everything. There's quite a bit on there, though. Like popular stuff is really fine. And they do have some of the import stuff. I've seen a little bit of Toyota stuff and whatnot on there, but most of that's hard to use. Most of the Toyota stuff I've seen on there is point clouds and stuff like that, which are really difficult to use in CAD. I mean, you can use them, but they're very much just reference only, they're not. And actually, they take up a lot of computer RAM. Like it slows down the computer to almost a dead stop in a lot of cases. So that stuff's kind of tough to use. But yeah, a lot of the GM stuff, the Jeep stuff is very available, and most of that's pretty clean.
Oh yeah.
And the last question we have, which we already kind of answered this one, is what off-road experience and builds have you guys done? Do you have any favorite motorsports?
Off-road experience, I got my first Jeep when I was 15, I think. I'm 27 now, so I've been off-roading that whole time. As far as builds go, I've really only built 3 different vehicles: a Grand Cherokee, 95 Grand Cherokee, a 2006 Jeep Wrangler, and a 92 Jeep Cherokee. All of those have been very mild builds, nothing crazy.
Cherokee still for sale?
Yeah, the Cherokee is still for sale. It's a 4-liter Cherokee on JK axles, JK 30 and a 44 with a 3-link kit in the front and some 37-inch tires. It's a pretty mild build, but it's fun to wheel. It's super low, rides on bump stops, so it's not comfortable, but it's the ultimate Cherokee budget build. So,
how much did you buy that thing for again?
I think I got it for like $450, and spent a weekend getting it running, and it's been somehow driving I've had it for 2 or 3 years now.
somehow driving.
Yeah. I loaned it out to our buddy to go to the Rubicon a few weekends ago, so we had a great time in that.
He
So.
cruised down a hill for like half a mile or something on fumes or something and rolled into the gas station.
Yeah,
That was advanced, I think, right?
Yeah, he said he almost ran out of gas, but
There's no registration, so he had to go away from the gas station
Yeah,
with
it
the
was-
sheriff in it, so he had to go the wrong direction on
yeah.
fumes.
yeah.
Yeah, I was right behind him, and he's like, I had him on the radio. I'm like, hey, Daniel, you're going to pull into this this gas station? And he's like, oh, shit, cop. And he just goes straight. And I'm like, dude, where's the next gas station? He's like, I don't know. I'll just have to figure it out. I'm like, well, I'm turning the opposite way. So if you run out of gas, I mean, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he ended up running out of gas at the top of a hill and was able to roll all the way into the gas station.
There you go.
Perfect.
It's all downhill from the Rubicon to Georgetown, anyways.
Yeah. What about Caleb? You raced motocross, right, or rided?
Yeah. I got into dirt bikes. I don't know. I always wanted a dirt bike. I didn't start riding though until I was 6, and actually like 6th grade, I ended up getting homeschooled. I was gonna try to pursue racing a little bit more competitively, and I ended up just not liking the whole homeschool thing. So I went back to regular school, and with that, you can't really be competitive. So, yeah, dirt biking is definitely a big part of my background.
Right on.
Oh, yeah.
I think Danny has some motocross background too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I started off in the whole BMX thing, though, and I did BMX from when I was like 15 to 25. I was actually raced pro for a while, which was a lot of fun. And then after that, I kind of got into the dirt bike thing and did some racing, nothing crazy competitive, just a little bit here and there, local races. I'm kind of dialed back on that again, too. I'm just doing trail riding now. And in Idaho, we are blessed with a lot of dirt roads. And so probably not legal, but, you know, one of the funnest thing to do was take my truck out, or I had a little BMW 325 that I'd go and just rally on the dirt roads all over the mountains around here. So that's kind of my version of off-road experience, I guess, is just dirt road rallying.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, appreciate you guys being on. Appreciate everyone who's listening. Kind of forgot we were recording for a while. And yeah, if you want to reach out to us, you can hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And then we also, if you want to email us anything really, you can hit us up at podcast@RuffStuffSpecialties.com. Anything else, Zach?
Yeah, email us, do it. We'll listen to what you have to say, answer your questions, and do the whole bit. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it.
Sweet. Later.